because as far as you're concerned, it's going to be same old, same old. This is Mandela Month, you go on to say. So there will be a lot of Mandela in the speech. A very good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
So, your thoughts, are we going to have all of the same old rhetoric that we've heard over the past while? Or because of the GNU, are you slightly hopeful that we are going to hear something different?
What parties do in politics is always to look at what may be central problems or problems that the majority of people are concerned about. And in the last 8 years, the three or triple challenges that we face in this country have remained unaddressed. That is poverty, inequality, and unemployment. And all parties, even during elections, sought to highlight those three. Where they differ, it will be around how they think they should be addressed. It will be around the issue of solutions. So I do not think that the president will veer off from that script of saying, how do we speak to the ordinary people in the seventh administration? But what is important is that we have experienced a major change in our politics, in the sense that for the last 30 years, the ANC was ruling this country with an outright majority, and and with that outright majority, the ANC has failed to address those triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. And as a result, the ANC was punished. We had in one electoral cycle a president who had led the ANC to a loss of 17% of the voters' share. And that is a humongous amount of loss. And it's a really a colossal failure. So you now have a president who's going to lead a government based on that undergirded by that wounded reality. The ANC is wounded, but what he has tried to do is to reinvent himself by pretending that he has done well. When the ANC speak about the national unity, inviting everybody, it tries to camouflage or cover up the fact that it has experienced a major loss, that it is no longer going to rule as it pleases. And fortunately, the opposition party, led by Helen Zille, has been very clear that the ANC cannot do anything without consulting with the DA. Effectively, what you're having here is more core governance. It doesn't matter how much they want to dress it, but the truth of the matter is the ANC goes into the seventh administration already hobbled, in the sense that before it makes any decision, it must consult. Now, here's the challenge. Having failed on your own, the question is, would you be able to deliver that which you had failed when you're not having people who are opposed to some of your your policies? The DA has been very clear that being in the government of national unity does not mean it is going to transform its posture with regard to issues of policy. It has made it very clear that for instance, on the national health insurance scheme, it stands opposed to that. So the issue here is that you're having a government of national unity with parties that hold different views on how some of these issues that are perennial are going to be addressed. So that is one of the challenges that we are facing. But one should also indicate that the ANC on its own was also found to be incoherent. It under the ANC government, you found ministers disagreeing around a number of issues. One can remember the two positions that were taken by Pravin Gordhan as well as Montashe on the issues of just transition, on the issues of ESCOM, on the issue of SAA. So you would see here the party that on its own is unable to give you a politically coherent statement and posture on some of the major issues. There were those in the ANC who were opposed to the so-called just energy transition, and those who were opposed to the notion of mothballing some of our plants, and those who were opposed to the notion that says the president of this country can receive cash in exchange for the ANC closing its own coal plants and getting that money from uh, governments that are busy stockpiling coal to ensure that they had energy security. So within the ANC, there was policy incoherence. Now you can imagine how that is going to be when you have parties that are clearly opposed to some of the postures, policy postures of the ANC.
I'm kind of wondering, you've made lots of references to the DA, and we know that prior to the seventh administration, the DA was the official opposition party in government. They've now formed this coalition with the ANC. I'm kind of wondering what sort of a role they're going to play. Are they going to be opposing policies that don't suit their agendas? You've mentioned, obviously, the NHI, which is really a huge issue as far as ANC and the rest of South Africa is concerned. Because as it is, the Department of Health has failed dismally as far as medical services in the state is concerned, state hospitals and clinics, etc. How are they ever going to get this right, given what's happening in the UK? They're a first world country, and I've gone on about this issue many, many times on this show. They are a first world country, and they too have failed as far as their national health situation is concerned. It's taken, and we don't know, the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? Keir Starmer is now talking very strongly about getting that area, their National Health Service. He wants to obviously, make sure that there's deliverables and enough money put into that to service all of the people in Britain. How are we going to get that right if we go ahead with that? And once again, that's just one of the very many policies that some of the ministers in the past had proposed. I mean, the Education Department, the Bella Bill, is another situation which is very, very troublesome and very messy. Do you suppose the DA and the other smaller parties that have formed the GNU will add very strong voices to these situations and make sure that the right policies are put in place to serve all of South Africa?
Start first with the posture of the DA. The DA was as clear about its position with regard to the ANC as far back as 2016 and 2019. Helen Zille had always said that she understands that the ANC does not know where it stands. But she was also aware that you also have fractions in the ANC. And she did indicate that the DA is prepared to work with the faction of Ramaphosa, meaning that when it comes to perspective on how issues should evolve, the DA and Ramaphosa are on the same or are reading from the same hymn book. Or put differently, the DA at the moment is the party that controls thinking within the GNU. And this is why, as far as 2019, Helen Zille could say, well, we would want to work with the ANC of Ramaphosa, meaning that this is our man who is supported by people who support us. So effectively, he is being handled by the people who give us money. So you have a captured president, a prepaid president who must deliver. So the DA enters here fully aware that it holds the lever of the money, that the person at the helm is a person who's controlled elsewhere by those who gave him the money. So that's the first thing. The second thing that Helen Zille also indicated is that she is very confident that during her lifetime, she'll see the ANC dead. So you have the ANC in partnership with an opposition party that has told all and sundry that the death of the ANC is what it is looking forward to. So what you're going to have here is largely at the policy level, DA-led government, because the DA, at least, it is very clear about where it stands for, or what it stands for. But the ANC does not know where it stands for. Even as we speak, the so-called alliance partners of the ANC have complained about being left out in the cold, because when the ANC was consummating this relationship with the DA, they were not consulted. So when you have a party that is willing to abandon its own traditional allies, when you have a party that is also has failed and has been punished by its traditional constituency, you know that that party is not going to be represent what it has always claimed to represent. The ANC used to say it was the leader of society, not anymore. It's not been
Okay.
led by its traditional allies or its traditional constituency.
All right, we need to go for an ad break, but what I do want to put to you now, and I'd like you to respond after the ad break, is the question around the MK party, who now becomes the official opposition, and what's happened with the split regarding the RET faction. Are they still there? Are they still within the ANC structures? So we're talking about two issues. The MK party, how they're going to respond to all of the opposition by the DA to all of these policies that we're talking about, and the RET. But all of that and more right after the ad break.
Sadaka, Akika, and Kurbani requirements. We offer clean, hygienic abattoir-style and refrigeration facilities. Sheep, goats, and cows are available at competitive market-related prices, direct to the public. We slaughter, slice, and distribute on your behalf. But that's not all. Introducing Meatmasters Halal Butchery, our sister company situated on our farm in Lenasia. Unbeatable prices on lamb, beef, and chicken. Lenasia Livestock and Poultry. Livestock is our business. We are Sanha approved. Telephone 011 857 1774. Call now.
After the recent attacks on Gaza, many families have been displaced with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
We are here on the ground with many appeal organizations in Gaza.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, buckies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name, Valley's Motor Spares.
Are you planning a wedding, birthday party, corporate event, or any special occasion? Kani's Catering Services got you covered. Our catering services are here to elevate your event to unforgettable heights. From tantalizing appetizers to mouth-watering main courses and desserts, our culinary creations are crafted with passion and precision to delight your guests' taste buds. Our spit braai is a talk of the town. Indulge in succulent, tender meats, slow roasted to perfection over an open flame. Kani's Catering Services chefs bring creativity and expertise to every dish they prepare, ensuring that each bite is a culinary masterpiece. We take care of your guests while you relax and enjoy every moment of your function. Whether it's plated meals to a simple buffet, we are on top of it all. Ready to start planning your perfect event? Get in touch with us today to discuss your catering needs and request a personalized quote. Let us take your event to the next level with our exceptional catering services. Kani's Catering Services, situated at number 373 Jabundlovu Street, Pietermaritzburg. Call now 033 342 3511 or email us on info@kanis.co.za. For Pietermaritzburg and surrounding areas only, visit www.kanis.co.za.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
It is exactly 8:23 a.m. This is News and Views on Salam Media. My first guest of the morning is Professor Sipho Seepe. He is a political analyst. We're talking about the opening of Parliament. We're talking about what to expect from the president's speech, but we're also looking at how this GNU is going to play out. Are they going to be able to deliver? Where and how much? When, how much of power does the DA hold regarding the GNU and the position of the MK party, which, as I see it, is now the official opposition party? And where and how does the RET feature in all of this? Welcome back, Professor Seepe, and your thoughts.
Well, the first thing before I even talk about the RET, I should also indicate that when you have a coalition government, you also need to understand that the parties have their own political agendas. And the position of parties is always to increase their political fortunes. And what we would expect and what the DA intends to do by being in this government of national unity is to make sure that where it controls the ministries, it does it so much better than the ANC has, as a way of saying where we govern, we do it better, which has been their strapline or their motto to say, watch us and judge us on how we deliver. And they are going to try to make sure that in their ministries, they do well. So one must understand that there are agendas that are different, that also includes the decimation of the ANC by the opposition parties. The issue of the MK and also what is called the radical economic transformation grouping or faction within the ANC has been emboldened by the outcome of elections. What the elections have said to the ANC of Ramaphosa is that we are not impressed. And what the voters have actually said is that this ANC no longer represents what we thought the ANC was about, which was about the liberation of Black people in general and Africans in particular. They've seen the ANC of Ramaphosa being willing to undermine any interest or promotion of some of the issues that resonate with the Black majority. This is why ultimately they said we can go so far and no further. And the whole idea of radical economic transformation is a very simple proposition. It simply says, the last 30 years, we have been on this trajectory, and this approach has not worked. And what we need is something that will be radically different. That is as simple as it is, even though those who are opposed to it, because it is going to challenge the status quo, they have tried to call it all sorts of names. So what people have said with the emergence of the MK, they say at least this party seems to be talking the language that we expect from the ANC. And as the Secretary General of the ANC himself has said, that what we undermined is the power of the Zuma factor, but also we had underestimated the level of disgruntlement among our people, that the people who voted for the MK party are really members of the ANC. He says people would go because the ANC likes to buy people. People will go to the booth, the voting booth, wearing ANC t-shirt, and they'll vote for the MK party. So effectively what it does show is that the ANC has lost the plot. So the radical economic transformation as well as the MK party will feel emboldened by the outcome of elections to say if we have to go and be seen by our people that we're talking the language, the way to go will be to go the route of MK and also probably to a certain extent vote for the EFF.
And you've just mentioned the EFF. What are the expectations of the EFF? As far as the people on the ground are concerned, what are they expecting of the EFF? And do you believe that they're going to be as boisterous as they've always been in the past, as far as a parliament is concerned?
Well, the formula of the EFF has worked so far, or worked until you had the MK party. The EFF's approach has always been multi-pronged, and it has always argued that every side is a side of struggle. And I do think that this is a correct posture, that they had taken a view that they are going to be mobilizing people in the streets, and they are going to make sure that they use the courts. They are also going to use the parliament as a site of struggle. But they are going to ensure that they occupy places like the universities. And to that extent, they seem to have done very well. But the emergence of MK party seems to have upset that formula. So they will need to revisit how they are going to approach this. In addition, we now find the EFF also having to answer some of the concerning issues. The issue of VBS. The EFF has been known or has styled itself as a party that will fight strongly against corruption. Now, how it handles itself and moves out of this current noise of VBS, how it comes out will determine how it is going to perform, both in all these other spheres that it had almost occupied, the courts, the parliament, and the streets, because these allegations are very serious. And one must also remember there was a time when the EFF used to talk about pay back the money, and people are beginning now to raise that statement that what you call others to do, you may have to do that. But of course, the issue of corruption does not go away. It will be one of those issues that the EFF must grapple with, and grapple with that very fast.
Politics is a filthy game, never mind dirty. It's an absolutely filthy game. And it seems that all of politicians and parties have dirty hands as far as politics is concerned. That being said, it's going to be very, very interesting times going ahead to see how Parliament is going to play out, and all of the shenanigans that we are going to be seeing. And I'm more than certain, Professor, that we're going to see a lot of drama being played out in Parliament. That being said, do you have any expectations? Are you hoping for any surprises regarding the opening of Parliament tonight?
Well, what we are going to have is the distortion and misrepresentation of what Nelson Mandela said. Remember, today is a day that is considered to be the birthday of Mandela. And we have a president who had always tried to style himself as the modern day Mandela. But we know that he is not Mandela. Mandela was decisive. Mandela was honest. Mandela never vacillated. He could tell people what they don't want to hear. This is a president who wants to tell people, any group, what it wants to hear. So you do not have an honest person at the head. You also have Pala. But what he's going to try to do is to try to bring the image of Mandela, to quote him, but without even indicating that when Mandela stepped down as the president of the country and as the president of the ANC, that was a very disappointed Mandela. He was disappointed with the fact that the ANC and black people in this country had lent the hand of friendship and extended that hand, and they have not seen the what you may call the positive response that they expected. White people used to talk about Swartgevaar, and when the ANC talked about unity, when he talked about the reconciliation, the ANC thought and Mandela thought that that would be responded in kind. It did not. He went to the grave a very disappointed man. So any invocation of Mandela, it must be based on how Mandela saw South Africa. He made 3 comments that he has seen that the opposite parties here, including the DA, which he called the party of white bosses and black stooges.
Okay, Professor's picture has just frozen. I'm not sure if he's still there, because I would love him to really end off by letting us know what he was thinking. Let's just check what Nasreen has to say. Have we lost the professor? Yes, unfortunately, we've lost him. So let's leave it there. We are running. Oh, there he is. Professor,
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay,
I can
your
hear
picture
you.
froze. Your picture froze. Do you want to continue?
Yeah, I was saying what Mandela ended up saying is that there were 3 challenges South Africa faces: the role of opposition, the role of NGOs, and the role of the media. He was he singled out the NGOs that are funded from outside, and we've seen the role of these NGOs, which pretend to be custodians and champions of democracy and accountability. That when it comes to Ramaphosa, these NGOs would rather go hiding, whereas in the past, these are the parties that, at the slightest provocation, will challenge any malfeasance that appears. Right now, you don't see them talking about Pala. You don't see them talking about even the ANC's involvement in the VBS, because it is all about protecting the person who is funded by their own handlers. So Mandela must be quoted properly. Mandela was a revolutionary. Mandela would have been disappointed with the fact that we have made no material progress in terms of what he stood for. And he stood for a South Africa where that will be non-racial, democratic, where people will have equal opportunities. As we speak, there are no equal opportunities in this country. The opportunities that we have are those that sustains the logic of apartheid, where being white means being wealthy, being white means being educated, being white means controlling the economy. That is not the vision of Mandela.
Okay, and having said that, who's to be blamed for that? It's our own very people that allow themselves to be captured right across the board. So we can't say being white necessarily is, being wealthy. There are so many of our black people who are stinking rich, and that is because they've been captured. And
Yes.
really, when you think about it, they've actually taken or stolen the food out of the mouths of the poorest of the poor. 2 very quick questions before I let you go. We talk, you made reference to Pala, you made reference to VBS, you haven't made reference to Nkandla. Is that story then totally forgotten now, buried and forgotten? All of the money that Zuma had stolen and set up this big palace in Nkandla, and all of the other issues around state capture and Zuma and his clan. Do you think all of those issues are going to die and die away and we're going to forget about it? Or do you believe that these people still have to be brought to account and paid back the money?
Yeah, the first thing that one must mention when you talk about lack of progress is that in every oppressive system, the oppressor is able and has always enlisted the services of the oppressed. Even during slavery, you had the house slaves and the field slaves. So we need to accept that the slave owners will always have house Negroes. And the people that you're talking about, the black people who are filthy rich, were never black people who were committed to the advancements of black people. These are the black people who were always useful idiots and who
Uncle
easily
Tom's.
jump.
The Uncle Tom's.
Exactly. We must always accept that will always happen. But that does not mean that the majority of black people are to blame for the conditions that they find themselves in. So that's the first thing that I wanted to deal with. Then the second issue is, of course, issues that have to do with any corruption, wherever it comes from, must be dealt with. The Nkandla matter, also, you must also read it also properly. What you had there was the upgrades. It was not the notion that the state built the house for Jacob Zuma. What the Park Protector and the court said is that because of the other aspects of the upgrades that were not in the formulation of upgrades, Zuma had unduly benefited, and he had to pay back the money. And it was not that on that he was corrupt. It was that the people that he worked with were the ones who were corrupt. So we must always get that story right, because if he was corrupt, he would be in jail today. What he's facing now is not something that has to do with Nkandla. He is facing the issue that has to do with the arms deal. And those are two different things that must be separated. But where there's corruption, including that which involves him, he must face the music. And so should all people, including the ANC, the EFF, and the other parties who benefit from malfeasance.
And I just wonder if that will in fact come to pass, or are they protected and will never be brought to book. But be that as it may, we will watch that space going forward. To wrap up then, and the opening of Parliament this evening, my sense is that it's just going to be this huge fashion parade and everybody slapping each other on the back. And there's just this huge show with absolutely no substance. Do you see it the same way as I do?
Yeah, definitely. That's is going to be more of the same. And you put it quite correctly, that it will be more of a fashion parade. And which is, of course, what we have come to expect from this government, that they will be more about the parliamentarians and its own members. But also the point that you're also raising is also accepting that some of the corrupt issues are going to be swept under the carpet, where the parties are going to use their majority to make sure that some things don't see light of day. And we've seen how Pala matter was swept under the rug, that the EFF and other parties now have to go to the courts. And now we will be interested in how the court is going to deal with this, because there is also a view that some members of the courts themselves are not members who are honorable, that some of the members are beneficiaries of some of the corrupt schemes.
Professor Sipho Seepe, political analyst, always a pleasure talking with you. I love listening to your deep insights on all of these matters. And are you going to be watching the fashion show tonight?
Oh, definitely, I'll be listening carefully to what the president has to say and then deal with it in my next column.
Okay, great stuff. You go well, keep safe, and God bless.
Thank you very much.
It is exactly 8:41 a.m. This is News and Views on Salam Media, and inshallah, next after the ad break, we are going to be taking a listen to hashtag Heard on Air, where at least 5 people were killed and numerous others injured in Bangladesh during violent clashes over government job quotas.